You went from being an ISSO, and now you finally start being fun, man. Listen, when he became an engineer, y'all, every day, hey man, let me show you what I worked on today. So see, I made this script, and I had to do this and that. Ain't nobody even helped me with it either, and I made it. And they didn't want to give him no promotion or nothing. They was kind of being stingy with the money.
Yeah.
So talk about, man, your time working in Funky Town and being a security engineer.
Yeah, I mean, that like progression, kind of just happened because I was just showing the interest towards it and nobody else really cared for it, because that means more thinking. A lot of people don't like to do more thinking. They just want to show up and go home, right? Less stress. Somebody got to do it. So, yeah, I took it up. And what I quickly realized is for anybody else who may see the same problem, when you deep into the woods of things, you quickly find out who belongs and who doesn't, or who actually cares and who doesn't care, right? Because I have real specific things that actually requires you to actually know what you're talking about. If I did have a question, that's why I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, which is why I be trying to tell people, I couldn't go ask my manager, hey, this tool, this configuration, this line 68 has this weird Python code. They're going to look at me crazy.
Because they don't know.
They don't know. And anybody else, like, you go accessing a cybersecurity professional, like, hey, have you seen this configuration file, this line? And I'm like, nah, I just press scan and it works. I just never had to do all that. I'm like, oh, well, do you know anything about outside of just pressing the button, scan and work? Nah. Oh, okay. No help at all. So yeah, that's how it was. There was a lot of puzzle pieces you had to put together, and just actually have the mentality to figure out how things work and why it works, and when it stopped working, what caused it to start working, and what to make it start back working again. So a lot of time spent on Google. Luckily, AI things came around to make those searches go a little faster. But then again, people will tell you, all I need is AI, and a lot of times it comes back with a lot of BS that's made up that doesn't make sense. Copy and paste a script, you take down your whole network because you don't know what it's doing. You just say, hey, I need a script that removes this permission from this group. And the script that gives you removes the whole group entirely. So,
yeah, because they're trying to substitute, actually learn how to do something with just AI.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work because you don't even know how to prompt it in a niche way to get what you want without doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And security engineering, at least in my experience, I think is massively different for various different companies. That definition of security engineering is actually taking systems and tools and making them actually work and integrate in a proper manner. And a lot of different places I've been at, as far as the engineering aspect of it, is the underutilization of the things they already have, and they're trying to go acquire something else, or they're not using the thing properly, right? Y'all like to talk about Splunk on here a lot. So an example is Splunk, where you're trying to say, hey, they just ingest everything. That's not that's
gonna be a extremely expensive bill.
It's expensive, and depending on the architecture setup, slow, inefficient, resource intensive, doesn't make a lot of sense. Spending more time troubleshooting it than actually looking at, incidents or whatever it is. So had to deal with that a lot. And that goes back to the original basics of foundations, at least from my aspect of, because I know you like to say, hey, skip A+. I tell people, you ain't got to get the cert, but at least learn hardware, CPUs, and RAM, and these things, and why it matters. Because when you go to the engineering aspect of it, you are allocating these resources that cost money, and you just go and throw 128 gigs on a server that only needs 8. Why?
Well, you can learn that through Kev Tech course or Course Careers.
You can learn it, but don't skip it. That's what I'm saying. Don't skip the foundation just because it seems rudimentary.
I guess I don't know. I guess it's, to me, knowing, kind of reading the manual of what the server can take and what it actually needs to perform is common sense to me.
It may be to you. I'm talking about people who want to, they knew they don't know. They don't want to. They trying to get off help desk. They're trying to do engineering work. They, skipped A+. They just been going with the flow. You need to learn.
So who did
stuff. That one of the places I was at, it just was under resourced. It was the same setup for years. It worked, But as new machines and it wasn't built for a scalable architecture. And I'm like, well, this thing runs completely trash. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And we had external consultants come in and say the same thing that I already was saying, but
they ain't trust you because you ain't had Splunk on your last name.
I ain't no Splunk in my resume, so they just repeating the same stuff I done already.
Oh yeah,
said.
did you say they paid that man? How much you said they paid that dude to come talk to y'all? To tell them the same thing you just said.
Well, I know they have some external consultant. It was thousands for a 3-day trip. I know it was insane. I don't know, 10 plus thousands of dollars just for them to come for a 3-day fly out trip and to not even fix nothing, just to have recommendations.
And you could have did that for 10,000.
Yeah, like stuff like that. That's the engineering aspect of it. It's not always the best, prettiest looking
I agree,
piece of work though.
That and when you think about now, we go back into disaster recovery, GRC, engineering, because how these all intertwine. Hey, what logs do we need? And then where the other ones go? How long do we store our logs? How do we get our logs when we need them for certain emergencies? All those things are important because you can't just keep the logs there forever.
Yeah.
They need to go somewhere. Like I think some people, they only keep like their logs maybe for like 90 days. And then the rest they put like in what they call like glacier or blob storage or something like that. So you got to get them de-thawed and request them from, the storage team or something. That way you can look through them. But some people don't do that. So the Splunk search here just messed up, going slow, spinning. You deleting jobs off of a simple search.
Yeah. That's comes from, like I said, doing the cheap way out, giving it to people. So they'll figure it out.
It come from a lack of.
There you go, the training.
There you go.
Here you go. Yeah,
training.
That too. Should I train myself? I got on YouTube.
No, I'm just like, man, people probably like, why you keep on saying training?
Yeah, man.
The guy he was talking about, every time Lee would ask him, so if they ask you this in the interview, what you gonna say?
Training. Like, you don't know the answer to this. Like, they ask you a real specific, how do you do X, Y, and Z? Well, you have to have training first and foremost. I'm like, good luck.
Right.
I mean, I guess it worked for him in his career. He 20 plus years in, high level PM. So, I guess it works for him. So,
got on a good contract. See, I need you on this contract over here, Lee.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's the the biggest thing I see as far as like people making a transition is just the foundational gap of knowledge. Like I can say, the foundations. A lot of other things is easier to pick up on. Right, like I hate networking, but I learned this basic networking stuff. So when things doesn't make sense, I can easily just look up an answer, and then that makes sense to me. Right. If you don't know what a subnet is, and you're gonna look up how do I configure a subnet, then you're gonna be even more lost than the original question of what is a subnet. Yeah.
You should put in the subnet calculator.
Yeah. I was good to a point to where I can just do it in my head. Yeah, I ain't had to do it in a while, so